Well, I can't really tell if Stephen Amell is making a parody of himself, this is a wrestling joke, or he's just a giant baby. Recently, the Arrow star chimed in again about the jabs made against Green Arrow in Peacemaker, and I have to say, Stephen, where can we send you a box of tissues? Because this is one of the biggest overreactions I've ever seen. Now, as many of you know, Stephen Amell has pretty frequently spoken candidly about how he feels about the Arrowverse and its relationship with Warner Brothers proper. For almost a decade, the CW's DC TV lineup was one of the biggest superhero worlds ever created, and it definitely deserves a ton of credit for their creative work, as well as what they actually accomplished on TV and for how long they did it. Now we are winding down the last season of the final show on CW with Superman and Lois, and it seems like despite Arrow being off the air for quite a long time, Stephen Amell is still pretty fired up about the character. Now, as many of you remember, in Peacemaker Season 1, John Cena's Christopher Smith took a lot of shots at a lot of characters. I think the character that took the most shots was Aquaman, but he also had a lot to say about The Flash and even picked on Green Arrow. Now, in the series, he took a shot at Green Arrow by saying, "That dude goes to brony conventions dressed as the back half of Twilight Sparkling with a 4-inch butthole drilled into the costume." And honestly, guys, Amell's response is an absolute joke. He said, "That was a little unnecessary, and I didn't effing appreciate it at all." Okay, I'm just going to come right out and say this. That was such... Between the movies and Peacemaker a little bit, our show was kind of treated like shit. I get it. We're on CW. I get it. It's TV. But I also get the fact that people think about the most recent iterations of DC. They don't think about the Snyder Cut. They think about the Arrowverse. We got crapped on for years and years and years, and this just seems excessive. I'm not actually mad. I just remember hearing it and being like, F those guys. Like, seriously. Now, honestly, I think this is simply a cry for attention. Amell is still very active in lots of projects, but his public persona is definitely not as big as it was at the height of Arrow. I cannot understand for a second how this guy can be so thin-skinned. The reaction to this quote and this whole article where they talked about it seemed like he was playing a WWE caricature of himself in the interview. I mean, look at Jason Momoa. Peacemaker took multiple shots at Aquaman, and he even made an appearance in the show, meaning he acted like a professional and laughed along with everyone else. Now, Amell's era was already over, and Momoa even had another movie coming out, so he actually had something at stake. And honestly, all this just feels like sour grapes. I don't really understand why this guy couldn't see that, and making fun of the character is actually a testament to the character's popularity and mainstream status. It was a joke, and really kind of by proxy, a recognition of all of these details about Green Arrow, how popular he is. He's over 75 years old, and honestly, his perception from the general public, well, Amell deserves a ton of credit for that, so this was as much a nod to the work as it was making a joke out of everything, which is what Peacemaker did. I don't ever think Amell's going to come back and play the Arrow character ever again, because I think James Gunn and the rest of that crew is going to move on. They've been recasting all the movie actors, so there's no reason to think they're going to bring back TV actors to play the same characters. He could show up one day in a multiverse big screen crisis show, which could be pretty cool, but honestly, after all this whining and crying, the guy needs to just post his address so we know where to send the tissues, because it's completely ridiculous.